Welcome to the Resource Nexus podcast. As always, you can check out the full article along with stats and opinions at theresourcenexus.com. Oh, sure. Melvin Council's team. The Council era. Yep. Those are actual real-life quotes I've seen from some of the biggest voices in the national media, the folks paid to explain what's happening on the court. I actually tuned into a series of podcasts and TV shows expecting Bidunga to be mostly ignored and for them to gas up Council's so-called gritty leadership and all that other nonsense. But the level at which Bidunga was dismissed, far worse than I could have ever imagined. He was barely acknowledged on one show, and when he was, the game-winning block was casually mentioned as wouldn't have happened in any other building. He didn't even get mentioned in the segment, talking about players like Tiller and McDowell stepping up, or Trey White making big free throws in his 4-point night. Not a single mention of him stepping up, even when these other players were. And Council somehow got it branded as his team while Darren Peterson is out. It's ridiculous. There's a massive disconnect right now between what's actually happening on the court at Kansas and the story being told nationally. And it's not subtle, it's not debatable. It's one of the clearest cases I've seen in recent memory of a dominant season-shaping player being functionally invisible to the people paid to explain the sport. Flory Bidunga is not a role player. He's not a complimentary piece. He's not a vibes guy, a culture guy, or a does things that don't show up in the box score type. He is the clear reason Kansas is winning. And the national media, the pods, the recap culture, the surface-level analysis has completely whiffed on it. Even a week before Kansas knocked off the number one team in the country, the numbers were already screaming. Kansas wasn't just good, it was dangerous, and not in the way people expected. At the core, you had Bidunga playing at a top 5 national level, Trey White grading as an elite secondary piece, and Darren Peterson, when healthy, as a legitimate top 3 player nationally on a per-possession basis. Even without Peterson fully available, the math was uncomfortable for anyone paying attention. Kansas had 2 players arguably in the top 5 and a third in the top 40. That's not depth, that's tournament structure. March is about whether your top 5 or 6 can overwhelm opponents when rotations shorten and you play your best most of the game. Kansas already fit that blueprint, largely because Bidunga was anchoring everything that mattered. Peterson, even hurt, still graded out top 5 and only elevated things further. Then came the Arizona game. Kansas beats the number 1 team in the country. Arizona even shoots better from 3, which has been the story all season about their lack of a perimeter offense. Kansas is missing Peterson and still wins. Why? Because Bidunga didn't just play well, he broke the game. The box score says it all. 23 points on 8 of 11 shooting, 73% from the field, 7 of 9 at the line, 10 rebounds with 6 on the offensive glass, 3 blocks, and elite rim deterrence that doesn't fully show up in the stats. His advanced line is even more damning. 75.3% true shooting, a 158 offensive rating, and a 6.3% block rate anchoring the defense. Kansas scored 107.9 points per 100 possessions in a game where the team shot just 44.2% effective field goal. Arizona actually won the perimeter math. Kansas won anyway because Bidunga dominated the interior on both ends. This wasn't a good big man night. This was the best player on the floor performance against the number 1 team in the country, a team powered in the post. And yet nationally, the conversation drifted. McDowell stepping up, Tiller making shots. Trey White's 4 points somehow framed as meaningful, the building winning it, the vibes. They even said the rim seemed to have a lid on it for Arizona over the final 6 minutes thanks to the Fog Allen gods. Bidunga's rim protection, not mentioned once in that context. The lack of respect was stunning. This isn't new. The national media loves guards, specifically high-usage shot creators, guys who take 20-plus shots, players who look like they're carrying the offense. Efficiency and context get buried in the narrative. So when a guard goes 6 for 25, plays 40 minutes, and ends up with 23 points, the story becomes leadership, toughness, and this is his team. Meanwhile, the big man who scores 23 points on 8 of 11 shooting, controls the paint, erases mistakes with the second highest block rate in the country, and literally swings the game on both ends, gets treated like background furniture. That's how narratives detach from reality. Bidunga now grades as the number 2 player in the nation in my model, second only to Cam Boozer. Kansas has played the third best strength of schedule in the country, and he's put up this profile against it, including elite interior defenses and rotations. This isn't dominance built on cupcakes. It's sustained, scalable impact against elite competition. Bidunga anchors a top 10 Ken Palm defense. That matters. Kansas doesn't win because of perimeter shots. They win because opponents are forced into worse shots, fewer rim attempts, and bad decisions when Bidunga is on the floor. His season profile is absurd. 14.9 points per game, 9 rebounds per game, 1.7 assists per game, 2.8 blocks per game, second in the NCAA, 69% true shooting, 27.7 PER, and 4.6 win shares in just 24 games. This isn't empty efficiency. This is elite volume finishing, elite defensive impact, and elite rebounding against the third best strength of schedule in the country. Take him off this roster. Kansas isn't a top 10 team. They might not even be top 35. Take out a high usage guard shooting 48.7% true shooting. Kansas still functions. You can find someone else on the bench to jack up 25 shots and make 6 of them. That's doable and hardly impressive. That's the difference between visible usage and actual value. Bidunga isn't flashy, he's foundational, and foundational players are the ones lazy analysis misses first. You can see it in the geometry of the game. The defense bends, the offense flows, the floor opens up, all because he dictates what happens at the rim. This is how titles are won. Kansas right now resembles the best versions of teams that actually win in March. Elite interior defense, rebounding control, high-end talent concentrated at the top, and less reliance on bench depth. And it's all being driven by a big man who dictates the angles, the spacing, and the outcomes. Calling this anyone else's team when Peterson is out, or pretending it's powered by inefficient shot volume, is basically an insult to basic basketball understanding. After beating the number 1 team in the country, this was the easiest possible moment for the national media to give Bidunga his due. They didn't have to dig into adjusted ratings. They didn't need to analyze season-long metrics. All they had to say was, Bidunga was incredible, and he's the reason Kansas won this game against Arizona. They couldn't even manage that. He wasn't included in the players who stepped up segment alongside Jamari McDowell or Trey White and his 4 points, who was highlighted for making big free throws. And that's the problem. Not because of Kansas, not because of fandom, but because when the most dominant player in a marquee game can be ignored, it exposes just how shallow the national conversation has become. Bidunga isn't a secret. The national media just isn't paying attention or doesn't understand what they're watching. Ironically, the same major podcast that ignored Bidunga immediately pivoted to ripping a few AP voters for ranking Georgia over Miami of Ohio in the top 25. Sure, that's a debate you can have. Miami of Ohio sits 50th in net, 83rd on Ken Palm, and 312th in strength of schedule, while Georgia is top 35 in both major metrics. That's defensible. But watching a dominant interior performance decide a marquee win over the number 1 team, completely ignored. That contrast perfectly captures the problem with today's ecosystem. Lazy, surface-level narratives rewarded over actual basketball awareness. Here's the takeaway. Bidunga isn't having a nice year. He's having a player of the year level season by every meaningful statistical measure: efficiency, defense, rebounding, and impact against elite competition. He's doing this while anchoring a top 10 Ken Palm defense, facing the third best strength of schedule in the country, and still maintaining near historic efficiency. Put simply, this is what a player of the year resume looks like. And yet he's not treated like one. The irony is brutal. The national media, backed by billion-dollar conglomerates, couldn't even say the simplest sentence after a marquee win. Bidunga was incredible, and he's the reason Kansas won. Instead, we got vibes, we got bench narratives, we got guards being overcredited for visible usage, we got the building won it, and Bidunga, background furniture. But let me be clear. He's not invisible to those who know how to read the game. The stats tell the story if you actually look. Dominance against elite competition, top 10 defense anchored, high efficiency finishing, massive rim protection. That's a player of the year resume. That's a team built to win in March, and that's why ignoring him isn't just a mistake, it's malpractice. So the next time Kansas wins another marquee game, and Bidunga's impact is subtly referenced or ignored in favor of surface-level narratives, remember this. The best players in college basketball aren't always the loudest. Sometimes they're the ones breaking the game quietly, efficiently, and relentlessly. And right now, that's Bidunga. Keep your eyes on him, because if March shows anything, it's that foundations win championships, not narratives. All right, that's a wrap for today. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you got some good insights. If you enjoyed the episode, be sure to like, subscribe, and share it with anyone who'd find it useful. And don't forget to check out theresourcenexus.com for more in-depth analysis. Until next time, check you later.
Cool. Guess we'll see you around.
All right, check you later.
Bye.
Wait, man, why are you always such a dork, man? What are you talking about? Check you later. Check you later.